When I was 24 years old, I was hired as number 30 at Facebook. It was an insane ride to be a part of Facebook from almost 1 million users to up to about 50 million people. In this video, I'm gonna be breaking down their exact growth hacking strategies to get there and the tactics and actions you can use in your own business. Let's go. Number one, the foundation. So goal, goal, goal. And now a lot of days these are called North Star metric. And what I've observed, especially from AppSumo.com and a lot of other businesses, some people have it, some people don't. So when I was at Facebook, I went to Mark and we went into a room and I said, Mark, we gotta make money. We're not profitable. And he wrote on the whiteboard, growth. And what was beautiful about what he did at that time that still stuck with me now 15 years later is, what's the one goal for your company? And I think one thing I'd also recommend with that goal is you have a goal and you have a deadline. And Mark's was growth. So anything related to growth, we did. Everything about making money right away and all these other things, we paused. I have tried companies where we didn't have a North Star metric or it wasn't really clear. It was like, oh, well, let's just do good work or let's have a lot of fun with it. You kind of zigzag and you're all over the place. And it's really hard. Like think about when you go anywhere in your life, what do? You pick a destination and you plan a route. Kind of the same thing to do it in your business. So growth hacks, some of these you may have heard of, a lot of them you probably have not heard of, but there's a lot of things that are gonna influence you in your own businesses. So first up is focusing on niche communities. So when Mark started Facebook, what did he do? He did the .edu. Now, I want you to just think about that in your own business. It's like, who is the targeted community you're really gonna be starting with? So when he launched it, it was just for a specific audience, which is college students. And not even that, it was elite college students over at Harvard, boo. But who are you targeting in your own business? When I started AppSumo.com, it was like Silicon Valley startup companies and promoting tools to those people, AKA myself. Number two, how do you actually then expand concentric circles? So Mark opened it up to high schools, professionals, and then the world. I was a part of that experience. What Mark and Facebook did was focus on one core customer and then slowly, based on some data, start expanding that pie. I think people try to expand the pie and they end up hungry because they don't market it to anyone. Spam. I don't know if you realize this, but how did Harvard and Facebook actually get going? Mark emailed email lists. So if you don't have an email list, by the way, go to sendfox.com and get one. Where are ways you can aggregate context of your audience and then message them? You log in today, it'll say, hey, do you have a Gmail? Log into it. Then it'll say, oh, do you want to email all these people or do you want to connect with these people? Some of the lessons that are really powerful about this for yourself is one, go maybe hire or work with people that are experts in some of this certain marketing. Mark bought them. But the second side of that is, how do you aggregate contacts to make it easier for your audience to message them? Something that's really popular on the phones is that when you have phone apps, it's like, hey, do you want to contact these people? I don't recommend spamming them, but you make it easy for your current audience to tell new audiences. Specifically on Facebook, it was like, oh wow, people are telling their friends about it. How do we now put nitrous on it or whatever kind of fuel stuff people put in things to really accelerate that? And it was like, well, if we can get their contacts and then make it really easy for them to tell all their contacts, we could spread a lot faster. So look in your business for the 10x down that you guys can actually spread the business even faster. Because I promise you, if you have a few customers, there's probably some way of 2, 5, 10xing the way you got them so you can expand the size of your audience. This is acquiring friendly. So I don't know if you guys have heard the name of Ed Baker. Ed Baker, based in Silicon Valley, I've known him for quite a while. He literally invented viral marketing. If growth and marketing are important to you, why not hire the best in the world that specialize that and then really let that person do it and really focus on what's important. So for your business, like let's say AppSumo.com, if we are trying to grow our partner number, which is something we're working on in our marketplace, have a team dedicated just to doing that. So Facebook was one of the first largest companies and they also became the largest companies based on this. So they hired the best experts in the world on growth marketing and they said they had a specific team that was like, you are just gonna be responsible for bringing on new people on the site. So for yourself in your own business, what is a metric or what is a number? It could be customers, it could be subscribers, it could be whatever it is, but build a team or focus yourself even on what is the number that really matters and have people dedicated or you do it to really scale that out. Is there a way to put yourself around those people or have those people involved in your business in some capacity? If you want more videos from Uncle Noah, make sure to subscribe to that channel right down below. I put out 3 juicy business videos to help you on your business journey every single week. Localizing the language. So Facebook opened up beyond the US borders besides the modern English, which is I am speaking to you. But the localizing the language is kind of like this undertone that people don't really think about. And especially as an American, I think we're ignorant on it, which is how big of an audience there are worldwide that don't speak English. So Facebook opening it up to Spanish, to the Asian countries, to the European countries, and all the other countries. Shout out Israel, the Hebrew speaking, there's a lot of out there as well. It opened up the size of the audience. So how do you unlock the size of the audience in your own market? Now, not only did they do that, they also then thought, hey, maybe the audience could actually do the translation. So if you go and look in Google or you remember this, they actually had the people on Facebook doing the work for the translation for free. These guys are really smart. So for yourself, if you have a core business, let's say you're doing like a meat business, Can you maybe unlock new customer base through opening it up maybe to keto? Maybe there's other variations of the meat. Maybe it is vegetarian or vegan. I don't know. That's up to you. But I like that they thought, hey, we have this large audience that can't even access what we're doing. And I know that's something at AppSumo. And honestly, when I did Facebook games, I was shocked that 50% of our customers actually wasn't English-speaking countries. It was like outside of the big four, US, Canada, Australia, UK. And so be mindful of that in your own business. Is it in Spanish? Could you have new payment options? India is a huge payment option. South America has a huge payment option. Asia, all these different countries. So be mindful of all the people you don't have and not be so just focused on your own country. Adding mobile function early. So I worked on the first Facebook mobile platform in 2005. So you've got to realize that was like the iPhone hadn't come out. That was 2007. They started Facebook mobile before anyone else. And so I think the big thing here is to think about accessibility. Is that, hey, there's people are on one axis of using my product, but maybe there's another experience. Maybe it's offline through a book. Maybe it is through the phone. But what is the actual experience that can then get more people to use it? And is there other people I'm missing out on? At the time, though, it was also forward thinking. So there wasn't a big ass mobile population. There was BlackBerries. That's what we were using a lot of this stuff on. And so I do think the way that we've approached business at AppSumo, and I did learn this from Mark, is like focus on your core 80%, but also 20% play some of these longer term bets. And Mark thought really long term and really big. He was thinking we're taking over the world. And then specifically, he was also here being like, let's place these bets on mobile. There's something happening with it. We're using it. There could be something longer here. And I know that's something at AppSumo we still use to this day. It's like we have our core business of promoting awesome tools to entrepreneurs like yourself. And then there's new projects that are kind of moonshots, long-term stuff that we're exploring. The other thing that's really interesting is Facebook still does not have an iPad app. My guess is that they want people to be on the phone or the desktop to be using the service, but the potential size of the audience isn't worth the amount of effort to actually be creating it. And so for you in your own business, as much as you're doing some of these longer term bets, what are you not going to be doing? What maybe is like everyone else is doing it, but it's not serving you? And that I got to get a lot of respect and shout out for them doing that. Tagging photos. So this is a huge driver of growth. Back in the day, especially early on in Facebook, you would get your photo, you'd upload all your photos automatically, and then you could tag them, and then eventually they auto tag people. But what's interesting is how do you bake virality into your own product? So what do I mean by that? Is that when you go to Facebook, you would upload all your photos, and then it would say, hey, do you want to tag these people? And you'd put their email address in. They would get an email that would say, yo, your photo is now on a website. Of course you want to go see that. I would definitely want to go see that. When we launched it, it was like an instant hit. To be able to have your photos uploaded for free on a website wasn't actually normal. And so think about it in your own businesses. If someone comes into your orbit, so a lot of these are the growth hacks, they come in, how do you make it so that they're actually excited to bring someone else? A lot of times with people with word of mouth referrals, especially offline business, are like, well, people just tell it, it's random. So how do you turn that randomness into actually intentionality? And I think photos is for the customer. Because if you tell people like, send this to your friend, we're not dummies. We know that. We're not gonna just do it stupidly. And so how do you actually make it a thing they are excited to be telling other people about? Maybe it's in Venmo where you could send people other money. If I got money now, I'm like, well, I've gotta get the Venmo app or whatever that is. With AppSumo, we've tried different experiments where if you buy a deal, you can get $10 by telling your friend about it. And at the end of the day, that does work if we have when we have deals that people are excited to tell their friends. The $10 just kind of lubricates them sharing that message. So think about building more virality into your own product. Now, what's really interesting about the growth hacks and Facebook growing from 0 to about 50 million users, which I got to experience a lot of, is that there's the foundational of your goal, there is the growth, and then there's actually the retention. So just getting people to come back will also help grow your business because now you have more users, keeping your customers, and then they'll potentially tell even more people. So a few things that they've done that were really effective: onboarding friends immediately. So it's targeting 7 friends. Facebook has a lot of data, a lot of information. I think Chamath was running the growth. They realized that once you got to 7 friends, you had more things to see on Facebook and you had a propensity to return, use the site, and grow the business for them. What are data of success of your customer? So is it they actually, like for AppSumo, is it they buy 1 deal? Is it they read 2 tweets? Is it they open 4 newsletters for you? So what is the number that actually creates a great customer experience? And then how do you actually work backwards from that? So what is it in your own business? Is it, hey, once I've actually delivered them their first ROI paying client, maybe it's a software project like Sumo.com where it's like, oh my God, I got an email capture right away. For them, it was 7 friends, and then really work around that. The other thing that I think people miss out on business is the why. Facebook, one of their key metrics, if you look at their stuff that they still talk about this day, is how many people come each month. So what does that mean? It means someone who's signed up in the past, how often are they revisiting? And so they did work backwards from that data. That number is really impacted by having a certain amount of friends on the site. So maybe what is the number that if you really understand your business can really impact it for the long run? This is an obvious, non-obvious retention one. You have like a little one reminder. You can't, as a human, I'm sure Dan Ariely or some scientist can tell you why when we see these notifications, we just can't help ourselves. Give it to me. Who wants me? And so I think Facebook did two things super smart around this retention stuff. Definitely goes unnoticed, which is the notifications within Facebook, the app. So you go there, there's a notification. And then every time you go, there's a new notification. In your own business, how do you create a notification or some type of loop that I'm like constantly kind of curious about? It may not work for every business, but I think the thing you're trying to be mindful of is how do you get people excited to come back and thinking of you top of mind? We all have things going on all day. So as a business owner, how do you make it exciting for your audience to continually think about you? Now, one other thing that I think Facebook did in this that is genius is that they did a lot of email marketing. And I've talked about email marketing. I've made a lot of money from email marketing. AppSumo does really well with email marketing. I tell you guys to do email marketing. There's a lot of emails. In your own business, if you're not sending a weekly email, you are missing out. So go do weekly email marketing. To be the best, just study the best. Like go and learn what these people are doing and look at other sites to actually really get an understanding. Oh, that's kind of a creative stuff. Maybe I can copy that. So what are some of the key components that we can really summarize from this whole Facebook experience? There's kind of like 3 things that we can be breaking down that Facebook did that you can copy for yourself. Number 1, have a clear ass goal with the deadline. Where do you want to go and by when? This is the hard part. This is what success is prioritizing. It's saying no to some things and yes to the things that actually matter. And Facebook really did it with growth. And Mark realized really intellectually, really smart was that if you can get all the audience, he called it the toll booth, then you can monetize them really easily. So what is the correct thing that really matters for the long term for your business? Pick your goal. Number 2, think about all the different ways. So what growth hacking is it's ways of doing marketing that not other people have done yet. And it's out there. It doesn't mean you shouldn't just do the basic marketing. Sometimes that works. But you can be exploring based if you know who your customer is, what are different marketing activities that not maybe other people are doing? Maybe it's sponsoring niche people, which I still think is really interesting. Maybe it's offline. Maybe it's actually meetups. There's a lot of creative things that other people aren't doing to grow online businesses. And so be mindful of it. I know where I'm gonna go with my goal, my number, and try a lot of different growth hacks out to build up your core, to expand your core and so forth. And then lastly, I would say is that can you put a team or at least even a person part-time saying you need to grow this business? A great way to think about it for your own company is if I were to go away on vacation, is the business gonna be growing if I'm not doing anything? And if it's not, that's something that you can go solve and put some people around. And not only Mark solved it, he solved it with literally the best in the world. Which maybe you and me don't have the access to just yet, but you can start and get going to be able to do that at a later point. If you like this video and want to hear more about my Facebook stories, this story is crazy about how I got fired, lost $8 billion, and Uncle Noah wants to send you more videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. I love you, and I'll see you out there. Pew, pew.